Everybody. So I have literally been just talking and did not press record. So hopefully I can give you all the good stuff that I gave before. But listen, so we're reading the little book of Big Lies, and we're into question number 2 that says, are you living life thinking something's wrong or against you? So she said, the truth is there is nothing wrong with our lives. Life shows up the way it just shows up. Okay. So this session or this chapter is all about what you're thinking about, right? So she says, as human beings, we are conditioned to think in terms of what's wrong. On the surface, this was not a profound revelation, but following this thought could lead to profound personal discoveries. Okay. So she says that humans have the unconditional tendency to think that something's either wrong or actively against us. She says, I'm certain that you will find that often when you encounter an unfamiliar or confusing circumstances, you think that something's wrong with the situation, something's wrong with you, or even, dare I say it, something's wrong with God. And so she said this can become a knee-jerk reaction to situations. So she gave a few examples. When the phone rings late at night, what's wrong is your first thought. When someone I love does something unusual or looks at me a certain way, I react with concern. What's wrong? I remember my mother saying once when we were passing a stalled car or an accident, her knee-jerk thought is, I hope that is not one of my kids. And you know in your personal life, when if somebody says girls, if one of your friends call you, immediately you're like, something's wrong. She's like, no, everything is good. I'm just like, I just can't believe this great news, right? But our immediate response is, oh my goodness, what's wrong? I even had, just to be honest, the type of job I do could be very anxiety driven. I do a lot of work with people that are very vulnerable. And so sometimes when I get calls from my supervisor, she has to just let me know everything is good. I just wanted to just follow up with you, because I'm always like, what's wrong? And that's not good. So, what she talks about is the importance of doing things to stop those thoughts. And so as a clinician, there are some techniques that we use with our clients to stop negative provoking thoughts. But she gave an example of if you're driving down the road and you every time you hit a stop sign, not a stop light, that's your time to think about what you're thinking about. And she said it's more likely that you can drive for a while before you hit a stop sign versus driving and getting a stop light. You're more likely to get a stop light than a stop sign. So when you get a stop light, that's a time to process. But you could do other things other than doing it while you're driving in the car. If you're a journaler, that's a good time to do it. If you work with your therapist, you can incorporate, I need some time to process my negative thinking. We are living in an anxiety driven world, especially right now with everything going on. Oh my goodness, we're not going to get into it on this live, but it's good to have some time to reset. Let me tell you guys, so I found this guy and I got to figure out how to add him. I'm not really good with graphics and stuff like that, but if you send me a message, I can drop his name in here. He does an amazing reset at night. It's called Reset. I just found him, and it's very spiritual, but he gives a lot of positive nuggets throughout, and I'm constantly, because it's so good, I have to repeat it, because the thing is, when someone says something good to you, you need to say it out loud. So what I do is I'll say it, and then I'll repeat it back to him. And I know he's like, why does she always do that? Because it's so good, I got to say it again. And then I also keep those nuggets for myself, because I started creating notes, because the stuff is so good, child. You may even hear me saying it, and I would definitely give him credit, because it's just like, you could just tell it's a God thing. This man is truly, gifted by God to do this work. And so it's called Reset. If you know about it, then let me know in the comments, but it's amazing. Okay. So anyway, that's another thing you can do. So let me get back into what she says. So this is an inner fitness exercise. So she says that the stoplight is helping you to build self-awareness awareness, to expand your awareness of your thinking and behavior. And sometimes both of them would are aimed on pursuing inner fitness, right? She said, I taught myself to check in with myself every time I encountered a stop sign. She said, to become aware of my thoughts. I had been thinking during my drive when it's unnecessarily refocused on my thinking. I chose, and I told you why she chose stop signs. She said, I would allow my mind to work as if I didn't like what I found, and I would change my thoughts. Okay. So this was really helpful for her. She said, stressful thoughts flood our nervous system and with stressful feelings. Research says that this happens because our mind does not know how to distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. So she said, to the mind, it's all the same. Fantasy stress impacts the nervous system just like real stress. Did you know that? That fantasy stress, when you're thinking thoughts, that's why we can't be watching all this stuff on these trauma corn, or whatever word you want to use instead of the P, all of that stuff. You can't be watching all of these fights, people running, all this stuff. And then now we got this AI dramatic stuff that's going on too. You got to really filter all of that stuff, you guys, because it's not helping us to be the best people that we need to be. So she said, fantasy stress impacts the nervous system just like real stress. In the same time, we can wake from a dream with sweaty palms and panic and thoughts that circulate our minds and affect us positively as well as negatively. She says, my revelation was right. We human beings are primed to think something's wrong or against us. And then this could be a part of the reason why so many people are stressed out. She said, we are literally living life unconsciously waiting for a traumatic event that will leave us devastated. So a lot of times we're waiting on something bad to happen. You know that. You know how you be waiting. We don't have time for that type of double. Remember that jump in type of thing? Who want to jump into stress? We should not be sitting around waiting on something bad to happen. I remember I was talking to a client and we were talking about the scenario that she was going through. And so she was like, so we were talking about ways to just think of things more positively. Please forgive my nails, y'all. I'm going to get this at some point. This summer has been summering. I hadn't been able to do, self-care y'all know my nails, my thing. But anyway, so I've been doing other self-care, trust me. But the nails, which I love, I just have not been doing, but I'll get there. But anyway, so she was just saying that, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to focus on the good and, just with some, that scenario about, about everything being good. And I'm just going to focus, just hope for, hope for the best and, but focus on, everything that, focus on everything. I forgot that little scenario, that little saying people say, hope for the good, but be prepared for the worst. That's what it was. So I said, okay, so the word says, because she's a Christian, so I can use the word in my counseling with her, right? So she says, I said to her that in the beginning, when God created everything, he said it was good. I said, he didn't say it was better. He didn't even say it was great. He said it was good. So when did we get to a point? And I was just asking this because I was thinking it at the same time. I was like, when did we get to the point where better is better than good? When did we get to the point that best was better than good? If you do your best, if you do what's good, then that's all you need to do. You need to be prepared for good and be prepared for good. Okay? And that's all you need to be prepared for. And she was like, oh my goodness, Miss Z, that's everything. And I said, ain't it? Ain't it? I said, look how that just came to me. That wasn't me, honey. That was a God thing, because trust me. Because I would be like, yeah, girl, prepare for the worst and, do your best. But we've got to not do that. So, okay. So anyway, so she says, today we know that the nervous system is supportive of our safety and is programmed to fight, flight, or freeze in the face of danger. It's essential that the same nervous system that we are programming from our ancestors for dealing with the dangers all around them. So these nervous tendencies and fears have been handed off to us and conditioned us to look for and prepare for the worst. So you know, this is, I got to cut this short because this is going to be a long video. But you know that as survivors of enslavement, right? For people that look like us, you know, we have generations of panic and we don't even know where it comes from. Sometimes we are just preparing for the worst and we don't know why, because it's been passed down to us. Okay. So we've got to really be intentional with starting our day with prayer, you know, using affirmations, doing positive things that help us get from where we are to where we need to be throughout the day. So this chapter is all about figuring out how to be intentional. Okay. The other chapter is probably going to be about that too. But, you know, understanding that nothing is wrong with you. Okay. And I'm going to tell you, hope for the good and let that be good. Because God said when God said it was good, it was good. It wasn't better. It wasn't best. It was good. And that's what you are. You are good. Who you are made to be right now is good. The top of your head, the soles of your feet, your cracky toes is good. He made it. You are fearfully made in him. And guess what? You are good. So guess if nobody like you, they ain't feeling you, they ain't vibing with you. You good, baby. You good. Guess why? Because the Lord says so. All right, you all. So check me out. I want to see y'all in the comments. If you listen to the end, please say you good, because I know it's a long video, but I'm trying to get back into it. Thank you guys for watching. Everybody.